We are going into a time in our history where there are several things that will culminate to work against us. And all of these things, it looks like to me, are going to culminate or come together around the same period of time. Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. So I had to go into the office to work yesterday, and we had a little bit of downtime, so I went, to talk to some of the other employees that worked there. And I walked into an office that had 4 very intelligent employees, all right? These guys are more educated than I am, academically that is. They were like, man, yeah, we don't have anything to do. We just have some downtime right now. And I'm like, hey, do you want me to give you guys a 10, 15-minute class on money? And they were like, oh, come on, really? And I'm like, yeah, you'll like it. You'll get something out of it. And they finally submitted and said, yes, okay. So I proceeded to tell them what real money is and what fiat currency is, and that what the government is doing as the chairman said in his recent 60-minute interview, that they're just adding digits to a screen and that they are creating currency just by simply adding digits to a screen. And then I proceeded to ask them, how do you have to earn what you call money? In other words, fiat currency, because that's what we all get paid in, right? Most of us, at least. And, I started to ask them leading questions like, do you have to feed yourself in order to be healthy enough to go to work to exchange your labor for this currency? Do you have to drive to work? Etc., etc., etc. And then, after all of that, then they understood that in order for them to create wealth, they had to invest capital in order to be able to trade their time and talent for that wealth that they're creating. So then I brought it back around full circle and I said, so do you think it's right for an entity to just create it out of thin air without never having worked for it? And they began to understand a little bit until I said, so do you think it's right that the government / Federal Reserve can just make money out of nothing and give it to whoever they want? For example, it was announced not too long ago, a day or two ago, that the Fed created $446 billion to give to other central banks around the world. Once I mentioned that, they were like, well, then when are we getting ours? So after I explained to them, and after I thought they understood that there is no such thing as creating wealth out of thin air, but there is such a thing as creating currency out of thin air, they were still wondering when they're getting theirs. Then I proceeded to explain to them that if that currency that they were printing out of thin air was not brought into existence through the act of labor, then how does it get its value? And I took a few bills out of my wallet and I put a stack on one end of a desk, and then I put a stack on the other end of the desk, and one stack represented the currency that was in circulation currently, and then the other stack represented the currency that was just created out of thin air. And I proceeded to tell them, now this currency here that's in circulation, this was worked for. People actually had to invest their time, their labor, their skills in order to get this. This other stack over here that was printed by the Federal Reserve, or whoever prints it, right? But that was created out of thin air. It was never brought into existence via labor. I said, so how does this stack get its value? And they're like, well, because it says $20 on it. I said, yes, it does say $20 on it, but the way that it gets its value is that it takes a little bit of value away from the ones that were actually brought into existence by labor. It takes a little bit of that away. Therefore, every time that currency is printed out of thin air, it extracts a little bit of the labor that you invested in the currency that you earned in the past, the currency that you earn today, and the currency that you save for the future. And after all of that, the last question was, well, are we going to get another stimulus bailout? Are we going to get another $1,200? At which point I said, you're all doomed. And I walked out. So I was going through, some news articles, and I came across this one, which to me indicates that things are going to get more expensive. This is one of the things that is going to cause a rise in prices. And I'll go ahead and read the article for you all because it's very short. But before I start, I just want to say that people don't want to go back to work, at least those that are receiving more via government programs and unemployment than they would normally make at their jobs. So now this is making businesses have to pay more. And what does that mean? When a business has to pay more for labor and or for the products that they buy wholesale in order to convert into something to sell to the public, you and I, it makes the prices go up. Now, I'm not taking either side of this conversation. I know where I stand, but I just wanted to give you guys an insight, or at least my opinion, as to one of the factors that's going to cause prices, not only on food, but on everything to go up. And let's carry on here. Let me stop talking and let me start reading it. It says here, they don't want to come back to work. Restaurant blames the CARES Act for labor shortage. One of the greatest tragedies in America today is that of the CARES Act, which included a $1,200 stimulus check and an additional $600 weekly payment for the unemployed, has given millions of Americans their first real taste of socialism. Well, I mean, in a way, that is a form of socialism when you just give people stuff that is degrading the value of everyone else's things, or taking away from one class and giving to another. But again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not taking sides, but I do want to point out that this $1,200, I don't know what to call it, right? But this little $1,200 stimulus is nothing compared to what has been given of your past, present, and future wealth to all of the banks and corporations that through their own malfeasance pretty much ran a bankrupt corporation, and now you and I get to bail them out. One of the things that I brought up in my conversation with my workmates was that, normally I wouldn't agree with the American people getting the bailout because the system is doomed. And if the system is doomed, it may as well be the American people that get those funds, so that at least those of us that are smart enough to see what's coming can use those funds to prepare. This administration has unleashed helicopter money directed at households that will have severe consequences. Not too long ago, we noted how government intervention cushioning households from an economic depression will prolong the recovery in the labor markets as people get paid more to sit at home than to work and be productive in society. It's like the Ice Age farmer says, ladies and gentlemen, you can print currency, but you can't print food. You can't print parts. You can't print stuff, but you can print currency. Well, what happens when manufacturing and production goes down and the amount of currency in circulation goes up? What do you think is going to happen to the price or the prices of those items that are still being manufactured at a lower rate and at a lower availability for the public? The prices are going to go up. So that's why I say that this $1,200, whatever it is that we end up getting, whatever it is, it could be $20,000. They can send everyone $20,000. We will be paying that back on an individual basis via taxes, regulations, what have you, or just the devaluation of our currency. We will be paying that back for the rest of our lives. Carrying on, it says, don't expect the unemployment rate to bounce back very much once this pandemic begins to subside. Congress has decided to make it very financially rewarding not to work, and millions upon millions of Americans are going to be more than happy to take advantage of that opportunity for as long as it lasts. As Arizona's economy reopens, one restaurant owner has blamed the CARES Act for labor shortages, even though she says the national unemployment rate is very high. With an unemployment rate at almost 20%, you'd think we'd have a lot of applicants coming in, but we're not, said Times Square Italian restaurant owner who recently spoke with AZ Family. She says that unemployment checks have resulted in many of her furloughed employees staying home. They collectively told her their pay from the government is much better than working at the restaurant. They don't want to come back to work. It's the unemployment. They're receiving about $840 a week, which puts them about $22 an hour. Wow. At the moment, there are 30 job openings at the restaurant with dozens of furloughed employees sitting at home collecting welfare. She said rehiring is a challenge because people are demanding $20+ an hour or around the hourly rate they're receiving from unemployment and federal dollars. As far as I'm concerned, the market should dictate what the hourly rate is, right? So if a business can only afford to pay $17 an hour or else they can't make it, then that's all they can afford to pay, right? If a person is only willing to work for $20 an hour, there is going to be a middle ground, all right? A middle ground will be found between businesses and employees or workers at what they're going to get paid. But when you have an entity that can print currency out of thin air and starts giving people more money than what they can earn by going out there and working, then who is going to produce the stuff that we need? And if eventually a number is found as far as how many dollars people are willing to take and how many dollars businesses are willing to pay, if they find a middle ground, it's going to be higher than what it was before. And what does that mean to the consumer, to you and I? Really, to everyone. What does that mean? That means that these people that got that higher wage increase, maybe not today, but next month, the next 6 months, next year, they'll be paying more in rent. They'll be paying more for their hamburger buns. They'll be paying more for everything else because it will trickle down. The expenses that it takes to run a business and to produce a product or manufacture a product or to make something, those expenses always trickle down to the end consumer. It says here, if Cano develops a labor shortage with an influx of demand at her restaurant due to reopening, she might have to resort to expensive labor that would result in fewer hirings. It's not just in Arizona. Workers in many other states can make more money staying at home than being unemployed. And we'll leave it on there. So, it's a catch-22. We are going to see higher prices in everything. This little thing that we've been going through, I don't want to call it little thing because people have lost their lives. But when you think about it, people lose their lives every single day. But this health crisis that we've been going through, it has pushed the envelope on several things that we deem as being acceptable in our society. And this is one of the things that I think that will be impacted the most. And people may not be thinking about this, but this will be one of the factors, in my opinion, that will result in higher prices in everything. And get ready for it, ladies and gentlemen. You know, some people may say this is not a prepping video, but it is. Do your research. Get ready for what is coming as far as price increases. I forgot what video it was. It might have been the live stream that I did last Sunday where I said that what we are being hit with is going to be multifaceted. Not only are we going to have price increases because of labor, not only are we going to have price increases because of monetary theory or money printing, not only are we going to have price increases because of the weather, because of the locusts, because of the climate, because of whatever. But all of these little things are going to make a big impact on how much we pay for our food in the future. So that's why I am a huge advocate of stock up now while it is available and while you can still afford it. I just wanted to show you this really quick. It says here, Harold's Chicken charges a 26% surcharge on their food because of increasing food prices. So this one restaurant is having to charge an extra 26% to their bill because of the increased food prices that they're having to bear. And just for a little laugh, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to go ahead and add this in today. Hopefully this video is not that boring, but I just wanted to look at this. I just found this kind of funny in a way, tragic. United Nations claims it's politically incorrect to say husband or wife. I'll say that again. The United Nations claims it's politically incorrect to say husband or wife. And my question is this: who pays attention to what the United Nations tells us we should or shouldn't do? Incredible. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys have a good day today. Listen, I hope you got something out of this. Just get ready, ladies and gentlemen. We are going into a time in our history where there are several things that will culminate to work against us. And all of these things, it looks like to me, are going to culminate or come together around the same period of time. So around the same time, it's all going to hit at once. And then those who did not prepare, they are going to be hurt the most. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for joining in. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did that, the world would be a better place. And you know that the world will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper. I'm out.